far as as we mentioned, the anti-tribunal bill we are doing is basically like the Sexual Harassment Bill Act, which is focusing on the whole tribunal setup. And the purpose of the tribunal is, as you can hear from the discussion, people understand tribunal is much more faster than court. That's number one. Number two, I also mentioned is that, of course, we want, if it's below 18 and it falls under the school's jurisdiction, the school will have to settle it first. But the law that we are drafting is also allowing that the communication can be direct to the tribunal, so if they are dissatisfied with the outcome of the school. Understand? Because we don't want they think that, oh, you know, if we are under the school, we cannot be having any other platform from grievances. But then again, this issue on whether do we want to have another law for above 18, so that's basically not what people are asking. This is where the cabinet will have to make that decision. I will present the pros and cons. Because you must know on record there are 10 over 1,000 schools with 5.1 million over students. And I think if you do a total combination to be open for every age, I think would be a bit of a massive flux. So I think from the technical committee we are evaluating that. So when we went around talking to mostly from the child commissioners not here today, because we're not addressing the mental mindset of below 18. So we are making the premise that today with the KPT students, the premise is they are young adults. So from their conversation, the union leader mentioned that university have a lot of settings in place. They have got their own mechanism. I think the KPT is doing the undertaking, they have the SOP. So I believe in Malaysia, the institution, whether in schools or higher education, KPT or KPM, they do have their own in-house system. But nevertheless, because of the massive amount of students and universities, of course, there will be such gaps. And also, in reference to the government, again, I keep mentioning that the definition of bully has to be more specific. Because right now, the bully is not just by a certain approach. Because, as I said, verbal, emotional, social, cyber. So that is quite considered not defined in any specific law as of now. So we hope by having this particular law that starts with this definition, that's technically we are starting the ball to roll. That, well, this is what we define the bully in Malaysia. Now, of course, the students also raise about, does it apply to us being non-Malaysians and all that? So, of course, I mean, law is law. The law, if you are an offender, you're an offender. But nevertheless, because below 18, the specific advice by the child commissioner from Suhankam is the punishment must be considered a bit different. And secondly, they're looking into the quasi-judicial, which is the platform of the court itself. It's not a normal court, it's a quasi-judicial. So it's faster and it's more confidential. And it looks into a lot of issues as what also some of the panelists mentioned. It could be a mediation platform, it could be an education platform. So basically to find a solution, that's what the tribunal is on that. But in reference to here now, above 18, they're looking at it from a different perspective, whether is it considered still as a crime? Or you are looking at it not from the criminal perspective. Now, all this will have to be evaluated by the cabinet. I can't really say yet until, but we already got the act in place. So this week we will handle the schools, and we hope that will be Sabah Sarawak. But so far we hope we'll be on time, as what I have promised also to the Prime Minister that the December sitting will be the first, second and third reading of the particular anti-bully tribunal.
Do you think by narrowing down the definition of bullying, that will exclude future definitions of bullying that we don't know of yet? And how do we decide what goes to tribunal and what is criminal prosecution?
I think one thing you must understand is that, say for example, in reference to sexual harassment, when you go to the sexual harassment court, tribunal that happens now under the ministry, can you go to the other courts to claim for other damages and not? Sometimes it does allow. So it's not just a closed gap that is only this way and then you settle it this way. It will depend on certain cases. But a criminal act, as you know, under say 5 or 7, when you do a certain act and then it causes death, like the Elsa clause, that is a criminal offence. Is that a bully? Under the definition, it could also be deemed as a bully. But at the same time, the bully is causing the death. Betul tak? So you read it with 507, which we have amended. So that is a specific scenario. That act causes more criminal action. So then you go to the court. So the police, the buka, the IGO, they investigated, and then the DPP decide to discharge in the penal court. That's quite clear, quite straightforward. But what about cases that is happening in a quasi-judicial situation that we can try to find a solution in cases of certain behaviour? So it cannot be to the degree of penal behaviour. You know, like for example, verbal abuse or verbal bullying. Is it a criminal act? It depends so much. Of course, you can sue for defamation for verbal. But that is a different part. But pending all that, I mean, these are kids going to school. You know that when they go to school, they must feel safe. Same thing with the university students. So the system saying that, look, we have a system in place. But the response that we are getting is that it's not good enough. We want to be able to say, we want the perpetrator to be punished, not just with certain punishment as what the system in the school is prescribing. So we went to one state, I don't know where it was. Some of the teachers said, look, if you push the student out from school A, and then the student go to school B, then the character bullying is in school B. Betul tak? Okay, then another one say, hey, if you punish the student and then you kick the student out from school, budak ni duduk kat luar jadi penjenayah pula. So that is what when we did the town hall, the various perception came up from point of view, came up from the teachers, the PIBG, the association, the NGOs. So it's true. So the whole purpose of this is that the child commissioner's point of view is that if it's in school and it's below 18, the behaviour is that they call it, what is it, the term, the term they use for the child commissioner is not punishment, it's what? Hukuman. Restorative judgment. Maknanya dia membaiki akhlak, dia kena pergi counselling ataupun dia buat hukuman masyarakat. Mungkin dia kena cat satu Putrajaya ke. So benda macam itulah. So dia belajar pada sikap dia sebagai contoh. That is basically why dalam bawah 18 tu, child commissioner's advice is that kita tengok dengan jenis hukuman. Sebab they believe that budak-budak ni mungkin kita tengok di segi perangai bully tu, depend on the type of bully tu, mungkin dia kena ada peluang kedua di segi. Tetapi kalau bully dia ke arah kondak jenayah, dia bully campur perangai-perangai lain, itu memanglah jenayah, mahkamah jenayah akan ambil tindakan. Takkanlah sebab dia bawah 18 dan dia di bawah perangai bully tu, dia tak boleh dikenakan tindakan di bawah kerana keseksaan, kerana perangai jenayah. That's not what we're doing. We're not doing that. Pasal dia bawah 18, dia bebas. Semalam ada pandangan kata budak 18 tahun ni kena sebat lah, kena ni lah, kena tu. Itu pandangan mungkin ibu bapa. Tapi bagi pihak kita di segi anti-bully ni, our objective ialah kita define and then kita tengok platform di segi proses perbicaraan di kuasa judicial tribunal dan kemudian hukuman yang nak dikenakan. Okay. Katakan lepas 18 tahun dalam kes-kes KPP, ini pun isu lain pula yang kita nak kaji. Itu sebab kabinet kena buat perbincangan ini. Itu saja. Standar. Macam jenayah gangguan seksual. Sekarang dah kurang kan? Betul tak? Lelaki pun tak boleh kena gangguan, perempuan tak boleh kena gangguan. So kalau sesiapa rasa mereka diganggu, dia pergi tribunal semua takut nak ganggu kan? Dia macam itulah because you know the law is there. Betul tak? So this is why law is for that lah. Prevention better than cure.
So like the standard of evidence kan dalam this tribunal,
dia kena tribunal ni lain, dia kuasa judicial. Pasal sekolah memberi jaminan, sistem dia memang in place. Jadi kita kena hormat sekolah. Sama macam KPT pun kata sistem dia in place. Tapi kalau dalam kawasan KPT berlaku katakan kematian disebabkan bully ke bunuh diri disebabkan bully, itu bawah hukuman lain, bawah kanun keseksaan. Bukan dia kata sebab ada tribunal anti buli, dia lepas daripada hukuman. Itu bukan maksud kerajaan. Satu. Kedua, kita juga mesti ingat dalam kes-kes yang berlaku. Katakan di luar sekolah tapi bawah umur 18 tahun. Ataupun dia bawah 18 tahun dia tak pergi sekolah. Dia pakai platform mana? Dia nak pergi sistem mana? So orang macam ni mungkin dia masih boleh pergi ke tribunal ni. So kita mesti fikir tak semesti semua bawah 18 pergi sekolah. Contohnya lah.